Predict, pick, and prevail in your fantasy football leagues with Nick Giacobbe and Nick Cap. From breakouts to busts, superstars to sleepers, these are the guys that will help you achieve fantasy glory. This is the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to our Week 8 live show. Welcome to the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast, where we give you our predictions, our picks, with the hopes that we help you prevail throughout Week 8 and the rest of the 2022 fantasy football season. I'm your host, Nick Giacobbe. Joining me is Nick Cap. Nick, we have an exciting Week 8 coming for you. I am melting over here. It's been a Sunday already.
Yeah, it should be a good week. We're gonna see some 6-2 Jets today, hopefully. So that'll be the biggest shock of the year.
I don't think I have the Jets in my spread pool. First time in a couple weeks, I'm not picking them. But anyway. All right. If this is your first time listening to us, thank you so much. We do the live show every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Facebook and YouTube is PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. Twitter is PrimeTimeFFPod. We do the live show. It consists of our answering questions for the entire hour, a full injury report. It's basically our way to get you prepped for that Sunday, that week of the NFL season. So today's Week 8. We're prepping you for that. We usually go for about an hour and a half, depending on the day. Since there's a London game in about an hour between those Jaguars and the Broncos, yucky. We'll probably go for about an hour. That's normally when the questions kind of stop rolling in on the London shows. But I guess the shows where there's a London game, but we'll go for as long as you guys keep asking questions. We don't want to leave any of you, without your questions answered. If you want to keep listening to our shows throughout the week, we do 4 shows a week: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can find those shows on all audio streaming platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Anchor. Basically, anywhere where you find a podcast, you find us, the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. It really does help and go a long way. If you'd rather watch and listen to the show, go to our YouTube channel, PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. Hopefully you're watching on it right now. If you're watching a video, drop a like on it, whether it's a video during the week or this video right now. Drop a like on that. If you're on Facebook or YouTube right now, please drop a like on this video. We'd appreciate that. All right. Let's get some questions. They're already starting to fill up here. And by the way, guys, the reason we didn't start at 8:30 is because my AC is completely out in Florida. So, yeah, it's been a day or two. It really has been a day or two. It's 80 degrees in my apartment. It sucks. All right, Scott Green. Morning, guys. Need one flex, full PPR. Damian Harris, Brian Robinson, or Wan'Dale Robinson. Thanks.
I'd be going Wan'Dale here. I think Brian Robinson, you're looking at a split backfield. Damian Harris, same thing. And the Jets have been pretty good against the run, where Wan'Dale Robinson, you're getting the wide receiver one on a team, a guy that's got consumed a lot of the target share on that team for the last few weeks. I think I would go with him.
I like the take. I think I'm actually going to go Brian Robinson, though. He is the running back one over there because they treat him like it. I think he has high potential of getting into the end zone. Taylor Heineke seems to have some kind of leadership role in that team. So I think I'll go with Brian Robinson there if it's full PPR. All right. Your brother, Andy Cap, says, how many touchdowns will Dangerous have today and why is it 5? I think he only has 5 on the season. So I don't think he's throwing 5 today. I think his over-under is like 1. And I wouldn't go over 1.
I pulled up the stats. Let me go find them about how bad the Broncos offense has been.
They're the worst red zone team. They're the worst offensive team in terms of points scored. Like they're the worst of basically every offensive metric, except for rushing. I know the Bucs are the worst in rushing.
Yeah, they are really, really bad. Like a lot worse than all of us even thought. So there ain't no way I'm betting on 5 touchdowns, but I do think the Broncos players are good plays this week.
Deshaun says, yo, what's up, guys? Always love seeing you in here. Deshaun, you always have good questions for us. Should I start Gabe Davis or Cortland Sutton at flex this week? Packers defense is a bit tough, but both of the receivers on the Commanders last week, I believe, had over double-digit fantasy points. I know Terry did. I think Curtis Samuel did as well. So let's start Gabriel Davis this week. He's been on a hot streak. Bills are at home tonight against the Packers, and the Packers are 10-point underdogs. I don't see this game getting close, but I think the Bills are just rolling, and the Broncos are not.
I don't hate the take, but I'm still going to go with Sutton. I do prefer taking the wide receiver one on the team. It's a much easier matchup, one of the easiest that they've had all year against the Jacksonville secondary. Gabe Davis is in a, boom bust offense, and as much as I do expect them to boom, I do expect the team to go up early and them to be able to run and chew the clock, not have to waste Josh Allen's energy, time, and big arm in this week.
All right. My dad says, are any Jets good plays today? If so, which ones? Nope.
Michael Carter.
Nope, not a good play. Patriots defense is really tough. Not a good play. From a football standpoint, they'll split the carries and the rushing game will probably look effective. But in my opinion, I wouldn't trust Michael Carter in my lineup. I mean, honestly, would you trust Michael Carter in your lineup? Over guys like, if I gave you a couple like running backs, like Brian Robinson, Ramondre Stevenson.
I would take him over Brian Robinson.
Ramondre Stevenson.
I wouldn't take him over Stevenson.
I'm trying to think of other like mid-level backs. ETN against the Broncos.
I'd go with Carter there. Just
no way.
I don't like the Broncos matchup.
Why do you like the Patriots matchup? The Patriots are just as tough against the run as the Broncos are. So how do you like the matchup?
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Broncos are number 1 or 2 against the run.
Jacobs gashed them for like 160 yards, I'm pretty sure.
The only 2 running backs that had good games is Josh Jacobs and Breece Hall, who are top.
The Patriots
have both been top 5 running backs.
The Patriots have allowed less fantasy points than the Broncos this year to running backs. They're at number 2.
I still
you can't say you like the matchup when they have a worse matchup.
Well, the Bears just went for like 200 yards on the ground against them. How am I not going to take a Jet over?
Because I just told you that Josh Jacobs ran for 160. All right, I would bet a chunk of change that Michael Carter does not have a good game today. Anybody could break out and have a long touchdown, but I don't see that.
Let's see.
All right, Andy Cap says, question for Nick G, because I'm playing against Nick K. Do I play Broncos defense or Bills defense? The Broncos defense has been really good in Trevor's interception and fumble prone. So I think I'd play the Denver defense. I really hate the Packers matchup tonight, but it's just rare to see Rodgers get like clobbered with interceptions and turnovers. I don't think the Packers score a lot of points, but I don't see a lot of turnovers. I could see Trevor throwing a couple picks here, maybe a fumble in there at some point. So I would play the Broncos defense. Nick, if you want to give an opinion, you can, but from my unbiased standpoint, I would play the Denver defense. So even if the Bills defense is always a good play.
I am playing you. You will not get my fantasy input today, Joe.
That's your brother. It's not Joe.
Oh, that's
my brother.
I'm playing both of those clowns in 2 separate leagues this week.
Oh,
it's
man. The circus is going to be
I ain't giving him advice either.
All right. One more from Scott Green. Scott, you can ask as many questions as you'd like. Denver defense or Minnesota defense? Play the Denver defense. I think Minnesota's facing Arizona. That should be a pretty offensive matchup. And I don't think the Minnesota defense is very good either. So I'd play the Denver defense. Another for Deshaun. I traded Darrell Henderson for Lamar because someone was desperate for a backup, had to accept. That's a good trade. I don't know if Henderson's the lead back there at this point. I think they're going to trade for a back or something. They could end up with Kareem Hunt. Should I trade Herbert or Lamar now for wide receiver 1? Got Higgins, Smith, Davis, Sutton. Your receivers are pretty solid. I would love to know who your running backs are. You may not have a wide receiver 1, but your running backs must be pretty good. I think if you could package Lamar and maybe I wouldn't want to trade Higgins right now because Chase is out. His value's pretty high. I would trade Smith, Davis, or Sutton, whichever one has the best game today, with Lamar for a wide receiver 1. Go for like Devontae Adams or somebody like that. The Chargers have an easy schedule down the stretch, I believe.
I would package Herbert and Devontae Smith, and I would go try and grab another receiver.
Okay.
I think that would be the way I would look.
Okay. Jared Holiday. Nick, I know you may not know this. Jared actually messaged us on Twitter, a pretty long question. And I'll be honest, Jared, I apologize. I couldn't read through it since we were live. And I let him know, hey, we're live. Why don't you come ask this question? So I appreciate you joining the live. We can give you a more detailed response than my 1 or 2 sentences over Twitter. He goes, hey there, Hawkinson or Higbee in PPR? Chase the upside of Hawkinson or safe floor of Higbee? Thank you. I don't love either of these plays really, and I don't think Hawkinson has a lot of upside per se. He only had that one game where he really boomed. I think he's had less than 10 fantasy points in like 5 out of 6 matchups or 4 out of 6. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Hawkinson's not been good in terms of average. I don't know if you have the numbers or if you have another stat on Hawkinson, but the numbers aren't good. Higbee's facing the Niners today, and the Niners defense is really tough, especially against tight ends. So I really don't love either of these matchups. However, I think I'll play Higbee. The Rams are coming off the bye. They gelled right before the bye and spread the ball a little bit, in the Panthers offense. I know Nick has Higbee as a bust this week, but I think I like Higbee's chances to score more than Hawkinson. That's just kind of how fantasy football works.
So because it's the tight end position and, right, like it doesn't matter, what really happens because everybody's kind of got an average tight end. I would roll with Hawkinson and go for the upside. but there's a very good chance he busts his he has one game where he had 43 points. Outside of that, his scores are 7, 5, 10, and 8. So if you take a look at those scores, right, like that's not good enough for the tight end position. But because it's the tight end position, you can go chase all the upside in the world that you want. That's why Taysom Hill is so appealing to people, because there's any single week where he can go get you 15, 20 plus, where other guys just can't. Tyler Higbee could, but the best their offense looked was the week before the bye. And in that week, Tyler Higbee only had 2 targets and caught 1 ball. So if they're going to try and filter out Higbee and those tight end screens, which is where he makes up most of his points and most of his workload, Higbee's going to become fantasy irrelevant again. And I don't think that should be the case. But if the offense looked that good with not utilizing him the way that he usually is, then it's probably something we're going to see for the rest of the season.
Okay. The Sean said his backs are Jacob, Swift, Eckler, and Dillon. So you're really set on backs. Yeah, go get a wide receiver one if you can.
Yep.
All right. From Lawazi Guibu, I don't know how to say your name. I apologize. Hello. Should I start Higgins or Waddle? Who are your receivers? If you're still watching, can you please drop in the chat who your receivers are? Because I'd love to start both of them. If I could only start one, Higgins. He's wide receiver one on a team that's going to throw the ball a lot. Don't listen to Josh. I'm playing him this week. That's funny. Do you know these people, Nick, by any chance? Because I don't.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. That's funny. Thank you guys for joining. Lawazia, I see you still in the chat. Can you let us know who your other receivers are? Because I would love to start both, but if I only have to pick one, Higgins.
I'm not allowed to talk Bengals, so I'm not sure if I should answer this question.
You are allowed to talk Bengals. He says he has Diggs, Waddle, Higgins, and Godwin. So I'm assuming you played Godwin already. So then you have to play, and you could only play. I guess you played 2 in a flex, so he's already played Godwin. So you have to play Diggs. I would go Diggs and Higgins here.
Yes, I would probably go with that as well.
There you go. All right. From Scott Green again, Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, or Ellenberg. I think he means Sam Ellinger. I'm assuming it's spelled correct. All right. What are you thinking? I'm kind of leaning Jared Goff a little bit. I don't think the Dolphins defense has been great against. They've given up the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're giving up the 9th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. When Jared Goff faces bad defenses, he's been very efficient this year. Swift is going to be healthy. I think Amon-Ra's playing. I would say if Amon-Ra's playing, start Jared Goff. If Amon-Ra's not playing, then I'm a little bit hesitant, and I think I'd go Daniel Jones.
But I can see I think he was just cleared Amon-Ra this morning.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, so he should be good to go. I'm going to actually take a look at something that I try and do when I have to play the quarterbacks that are in weird positions. I always look at the over-under for the game, because if Vegas is telling you it's going to be a high-scoring game, there's a very good shot that your quarterback's going to score a lot of points. So in the Daniel Jones Seahawks game, the over-under is 44.5. The Lions play the Dolphins. If I had to guess, that's going to be the higher over-under.
Yeah, so that's why I'm going to look off.
Let's see.
And by the way, Jared,
it's a 51.5 over-under. So Vegas is telling you that you're going to see a lot of points up in this game.
Yep.
I would go with Goff then.
Jared, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening to my DM. And we do the show every Sunday, 8:30 a.m., Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Love to see you guys every week. From Joshua, who's facing Lawazi. This is funny. I'm glad we're giving advice for both of you guys. Hit us up on our social media this week and let us know who won. Our social media is PrimeTimeFFPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then you can find us on Facebook and YouTube. Let us know who won your matchup. I'm very curious. And I want to see how our advice affects that. He goes, hey, guys, so I start Eno Benjamin, DJ Moore, or Deontay Foreman in my flex. I like all these plays, actually. I'm going to go DJ Moore because he was on my all-boom team this week. He had 19 fantasy points last week. The Falcons' defense is really bad. It's the worst defense in the league against wide receivers. On top of that, DJ Moore was effective with PJ Walker last year. Nick said the stat a couple times. I think last year he had what was the number? It was 10 receptions and 400 yards over the span of, it
was I think he was getting 8 catches per game, and he had 400 yards on over a 5-game span.
Yeah. So I would start DJ Moore. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'd go with DJ Moore this week, but I mean,
these
you
are all
can't
good
really go
plays.
wrong with any
Yeah.
of the 3 plays.
Trust your gut on this one. And we see all your questions in the chat, guys. We are going by one, so we're not neglecting any questions. So just please be patient. From Mordenheim, I think we've seen you once or twice. Thank you for joining the show. Need 2 of 3. Half PPR, Cortland Sutton, Jacoby Myers, Brandon Ayuk. This one's kind
I
of
think
easy
it's
for me.
very easy.
Yep, Sutton and Ayuk. Myers is a
Yep.
bad matchup. Ayuk's going to be playing in the Debo role, and Cortland Sutton is the wide receiver 1. Ayuk and Sutton.
And Myers has to go watch Sauce on the other side of the field.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for him. From Clutch Follower, he's an Eagles fan, so he must be pretty happy this year. Full PPR. Russell Wilson or Malik Willis.
I don't know if it's on purpose, but it's great if it is.
I can't believe this is actually a question that has to be asked and we have to answer it, but this is the fantasy world that we live in. I don't want to play Malik Willis in his first game as a starter. And the receivers over there are bad. I will play Russell Wilson even if I don't love it.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one.
That's tough. All right, from Sarah Riley, need 3, half PPR. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, T. Higgins, Travis Etienne, and Brandon Ayuk. Woohoo! Wow. It's an awesome team. All right. I think Amon-Ra and Swift are starters every week, and I think Higgins is a starter every week. Etienne is a bad matchup, but he'll be good for your team the rest of the season. Ayuk is a really good matchup. I would love to get him in there, but I don't see him sitting one of those 2 guys.
I agree. I would go with those 3 as well.
All right. Defensive stream from Mordenheim. Colts defense, Denver defense, Jags, or Miami. Let's go with Denver. I've been talking up Denver for, this entire show. Facing the Jags defense, Trevor turns the ball over a lot. Let's go with Denver.
Yeah, I agree. I would roll out with Denver as well.
All right. From Notorious fan, who has the best chance to have a big game? The Bills or the Pats? The Bills, 100%.
Yep, completely agree.
All right. Who from Bren Carey? Who should I start in my flex? Brandon Ayuk or Tyler Boyd PPR? I really like this question. I think you have to start Ayuk because Debo's out, but I don't mind starting Tyler Boyd if that's who you're more confident in.
I'd 100% go Tyler Boyd. And I know I'm not allowed to talk Bengals for the rest of the season, but
no. I want to hear your opinion on this because I'm pretty set on Ayuk.
I would go with Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd last week. Or 2 weeks ago, he put up some monster stats, and that's because the other guys were missing out on the field. Like his snap share is clearly the wide receiver 2 on a top 5 offense in the league. Like when you have that, right? Like he's going to have similar numbers to Gabriel Davis, except he sees a higher target share than Gabe Davis does on that offense. So I think he's the better play in this one, and even for the next few weeks. I know Jamar Chase wasn't put on the IR, so it's possible he's back soon, but I think I'd probably roll with Boyd over Ayuk without Debo. I think it's a better roll.
My take on that is that the Rams have allowed the 11th most fantasy points to wide receivers, and the number would be higher, I believe, if they weren't on bye last week. And then they'd also faced the Panthers a couple of weeks ago, and DJ Moore had a rough game against them. So I think the number is higher than it really should be. And the 49ers just always gash the Rams. So that's my take. I'm going to answer some questions in 1 second, but Joshua, thank you for joining. I know it's annoying for me to send you a link and say, just join the show, but we appreciate you joining and answering the question. And go with your gut. To everybody listening to the show, and that's why I kind of pulled this up, always go with your gut. We could give you advice, but the reality is we know just as much as Matthew Bear, not as much, but we can give you advice. Matthew Berry could give you advice. Fabiano could give you advice. Fantasy pros, whoever. Everybody can give you advice. But at the end of the day, nothing's going to change until you watch your television and something happens on the field. So go with your gut. But we will always give you advice. And thank you for subscribing. Again, the show is every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And then we also do 4 shows a week, throughout the week. From Larry. Hey guys, Larry, I think also asked us a question on Twitter, and I told him to join the show. So Larry, thank you for doing that. We appreciate you, listening, and we gave you a detailed response now. Hey guys, need 1 PPR, Dameon Pierce, Deontay Foreman, Devontae Smith, or Michael Pittman. You have some awesome options, man. I would love to see your team because you have some really, really great options.
I'd go with Dameon Pierce. I think he's a lock every single week. You look at the numbers he put up, they're right in line with Jonathan Taylor last year, right? Like when you see those numbers, it's just you start him, you don't question who's on the other side of the ball.
Yeah. Larry, if you're in the chat still, can you please drop your lineup? I would love to know who else you have in there because I would love to get Devontae Smith in there. He's in my all boom this week. I would love to get Michael Pittman in there. And Deontay Foreman has a really good matchup too, but I'm with Nick. Yeah, I think you have to start Dameon Pierce. Fun question from Pig's Feet. Malik Willis or Sam Ellinger? This must be like a 14-man or something league. It's half PPR. I'm not sure how much that matters for quarterbacks, but what are you thinking here?
I would probably lean Malik Willis. I would go with the mobility of him over Sam Ellinger, who has I would guess, better arm between the two. I mean, this is kind of like, betting on two quarterbacks we've never seen at the pro level and saying who's going to be better. I do think Washington or the Colts do have the better matchup, but I think they're going to have to play a more simplified offense. Malik Willis is going to only be running himself and checking down to Derrick Henry. Like, I can't see him having much more of a role in that. But I do think that'll be more effective.
I'm going Ellinger just based off what coaches have said and done, because the Colts chose Sam Ellinger as far as we know. They drafted him, and then they even said he's going to start in place of Matt Ryan. Malik Willis is only starting because Tannehill's injured. I don't know how many first-team reps he's gotten. I don't know how much work he's gotten with the first-team offense, but Ellinger's been prepared for this. They wanted him to play. So I'm going to take the guy that they actually wanted to lead their team. If Tannehill comes back next week, I mean, is he starting? I know that Matt Ryan's not starting next week. They said that Ellinger's going to play. So I'm going to go with the guy that, and even the reports coming out that they're saying they're excited he could bring some mobility to the offense and stuff. So, yeah. All right, so Larry says he's starting Jalen Hurts, great, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, Diggs, Eagles defense, and Carlson. I think if you could do this is what I would do. I would bench Travis Etienne for Dameon Pierce, and then you need one for your flex, I believe. I would start Devontae Smith.
I thought Amon-Ra was in there. Or is that a different question?
No, this question is Dameon Pierce, Deontay Foreman, Devontae Smith, or Michael Pittman.
Read them one. Oh, I see it. Okay.
I would bench ETN for Dameon Pierce, and then I guess you have to put one in for receiver flex. I would put in.
I agree. I'd put Dameon Pierce, but then I think I'd go with Michael Pittman instead.
Okay, sounds good. So Larry, I'm assuming you could start two receivers, or it's one receiver and a flex. I'm not sure, but yeah, if you could get Pierce in there for ETN and then flip out. For either Michael Pittman or Devontae Smith, I would bench ETN. All right. That was an awesome question, by the way, Pig's Feet. Thank you for that. That was great. I like that one. From Nick Barone, NBA Roan, one of our longtime favorites. Have Kelsey on bye this week. That sucks. I do too. Do I go with Schultz, Gesicki, Dulcich, Hunter Henry, or Irv Smith? Go with Schultz because he plays much better with Dak Prescott back. Gets a ton of targets, and yeah, I'm going to go with Schultz in this one.
I agree.
All right.
With Schultz.
From Deshaun. Since Herbert is on bye and Lamar already played, should I play Dalton, Willis, and Mariota? Did you bench Lamar for them? I'm assuming. Play Dalton. He's on my all-boom team. He had 30 fantasy points last week against a tougher defense, facing a really bad defense this week. Olave's a really great play this week as well. I almost should have boomed Olave, but so play Dalton.
I boomed Olave, so don't worry about it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, go with Andy Dalton. Run the red rifle.
From Nick Day, what's up, guys? What's up, Nick? I think we've seen you in here a couple times. We appreciate you always joining. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Deontay Johnson in my flex? Go with Deontay Johnson. The Bengals defense has been really tough against wide receivers, and they haven't allowed a touchdown in the second half. I think all Browns are in a really tough situation. Deontay Johnson, he hasn't gotten in the end zone, and that sucks. But he still gets a ton of targets, still gets receptions, still gets like 60, 70 yards. I don't expect more than 12, 13 fantasy points from him at this point, but I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is touchdown or bust. So if you have a really super duper roster and you want a small chance at like a 60-yard touchdown, play Donovan Peoples-Jones, but I'll play the set in stone guy of Deontay Johnson.
I agree with that. I think Peoples-Jones, in order for him to have like a boom-esque week, he's going to need to break away the big touchdown, and Jacoby Brissett does not have the biggest arm in the NFL. So I would take the guaranteed workload of Deontay Johnson over banking on the big ball for Donovan Peoples-Jones.
All right. From the Notorious Fan, Eno Benjamin or Deontay Foreman? That's an awesome question. What do you think?
I have the same question in my league, so I'm curious what you think.
Oh, boy. Crap. Who has the better matchup? I mean, is Darrell Williams playing? I know Connor's out, but is Darrell Williams playing?
I don't think it was announced yet.
Can you check that injury report or what the latest is? I mean, the Vikings are like middle of the pack against running backs, and Atlanta is see if I can find Atlanta. I know the defense itself isn't great. It's such a crapshoot. I think I'd play Eno because I've seen him perform. I just don't like that he doesn't get the goal line work. And I don't know Chuba Hubbard's status either. I think I would go Eno with a slight edge, but I feel like you're flipping a coin at this point. I know it's not great advice, but we've seen Eno put up 20 plus fantasy points. And I know Deontay Foreman had a good week last week as well. But we saw Eno do it against a really good Saints defense last week. He's a better matchup against the Vikings in a game that I think is high scoring. I could see that Falcons game, that Arizona game being much higher scoring than that Falcons Carolina game.
So Darrell Williams is still listed as questionable, so we probably won't know until 11:30. I was leaning Deontay Foreman in it because of just how well that running game did look without Christian McCaffrey. That's the culture of the team. That's the culture of the organization. That's kind of what they do and have done for the past few years. And now that Chuba Hubbard's out, it's going to be Deontay Foreman.
Oh, is Hubbard confirmed out?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait for the injury report at 11. If Darrell Williams is active, I think I'd play Deontay Foreman knowing that's his backfield. But if Darrell Williams is not active, I'd play Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for the question. That's a good Mordenheim again. Tight end, Tunyon, Irv Smith, or Juwan Johnson. I think I kind of want to lean Juwan Johnson. He had 2 touchdowns last week, couple targets. They're missing a couple receivers over there. Irv Smith, all these tight ends are kind of touchdown or bust, and I'm just not sure which one gets a touchdown, but I'll go with the one that has the best matchup in Juwan Johnson.
I don't love it, but it probably is the highest touchdown upside. If you're in ESPN leagues and Taysom Hill's on your waiver wire, I'd rather play Taysom over Juwan, though, and chase that upside.
All right. From Scott Green, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, or Amon-Ra need to already played Evans. CeeDee has a bad matchup this week. Play Amon-Ra and play Diggs.
Yep. I agree.
Right. From Ivan, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I apologize. I don't want to butcher it. From Ivan, though, would you go Sutton or Thielen? I think I'd go Sutton since he's the wide receiver 1 on his team, but Thielen has a better matchup.
I'd go with Sutton. Sutton has just as good of a matchup.
Okay. From John, Malik Willis over Stafford. San Francisco's really tough on Stafford, but I haven't seen Wills play. Here's the question that you got to ask yourself, John. I don't know what your lineup is, but I think Wills has the chance to either score 8 points or 28 points, but I don't think he's getting you 14. I think he's really boom or really bust. Stafford, I think, is looking at like 10. Do you want the almost guaranteed 10, or do you want a chance at a boom or a bust? It depends on your lineup and who you're facing this week. If you're facing a guy that's missing Mahomes and Kelsey and is projected less than 20 points, then I think I'd play Wills. If you're facing a guy who's projected the same amount as you and probably is going to have a good week, I think I would go Stafford just to make sure you get your points.
That's a good way of putting it, but I tend to go with what's proven over what I have to speculate on, and I think I'd go with Stafford. I think I'll take Sean McVay and that offense off the bye.
Okay. All right. From Ivan again, you could get a wide receiver 2 for Lamar maybe if you find a trade partner. Yeah, I would rather go get a wide receiver 1 if you could trade Lamar and one of those receivers. I think that could happen. From Nick Day, what's your guys' take on Van Jefferson returning? I don't have much of a take because Allen Robinson started to get going 2 weeks ago. Do I think Allen Robinson has a great season ahead of him? No, but there's just so many mouths to feed on that offense, and Odell could still return there. Stafford his arm looks a little weaker this year, so now you're competing with Cooper Kupp's 20 targets, Allen Robinson's targets, Higbee's targets, and they also like the other receiver. People call him Walmart Cooper Kupp. What's his name? Skoranek. So I'm not super high on Van Jefferson. I wouldn't even roster him at this point.
I wouldn't roster Van Jefferson, but I do think that offense is going to look a lot better with him out there. They don't have anyone that could burn the top off, and that's kind of, that is the Van Jefferson role, and no one on the team is able to do that. Skoranek's not able to go deep. Cooper Kupp, there's no point in sending him 40 yards straight down the field when he's so efficient. Anywhere between 1 and 30 yards, there's no reason to do that for him. And then Allen Robinson's kind of been their go get a catch within 10 yards kind of guy. So they haven't had anyone to open up that offense. I think Van Jefferson will be able to do that. So I think with Van Jefferson, if you did want to play him, you're going to pretty much get a McCole Hardman type role, right? It's either he's going to go get you that big touchdown play. They're going to have a week where they're going to use him, as a 3 a 3-set wide receiver. He's going to run some balls. He's going to get some screens, right? Like, you could bank on that, but I just wouldn't advise it. I think the whole offense will look better overall.
All right. From Roman Mirabal, start one. Michael Pittman, Devontae Smith, or Ayuk PPR. Thanks, boys. That's a tough one. We're getting some really good questions from you guys this morning, and I appreciate that. Roman, here's what I'm going to tell you. They all have great matchups, and I know you're asking me to give you an opinion. I'll give you an opinion, but I think you should start whichever one you trust the most. For me, at least, I would rather start a wide receiver one as much as I do like Devontae Smith. He is on my boom team, so I'd rather start a wide receiver one. I'm going to go with Ayuk because he does have chemistry with Jimmy Garoppolo. Rams defense hasn't been good against wide receivers. And that's why I'm going to go with Ayuk. I do like Michael Pittman this week, but Sam Ellinger, new quarterback, so I haven't seen that happen yet. But they all have good matchups. Go with whoever your gut is. That's what I would say. But if I had to make this decision, I would go Ayuk.
I'd go with Michael Pittman. I don't know what it is against Ayuk because I used to be a big fan of his. I don't know. Maybe I have some gripe against him since that week 1 goose egg last year. But I just can't bring myself to still back or support Ayuk and trust him in my lineup. I don't know. I don't know if that's why it is, but I just haven't been able to trust him, over the course of this year and most of last year.
Okay. John says, thanks, guys. Awesome show. Thank you, John. Hope to see you every week, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And we also do shows throughout the week. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, guys, please drop a like. It does help out the show. We appreciate that. Share the show with your friends. Share the link. Tell them to watch it. Share it to your league mates and stuff too. You're all in leagues. If you could share this link to your leagues, let them know about us. That'd be really appreciated. From Stanley, Devontae Smith or Cortland Sutton. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith here. I know he's not the wide receiver one on his team, but the Broncos offense doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. They don't put up a lot of points. They look really bad. And Russell Wilson's still hurt. Devontae Smith coming off the bye. Eagles offense is one of the most electric offenses in the league. He's averaged 15 fantasy points or more in like 3 of the last 4 games. I'm starting Devontae Smith.
I would still go with the talent of Cortland Sutton as the wide receiver one on his team in just as good of a matchup against Jacksonville. Apparently the balls are going to travel further in London than they are here. So I think Cortland Sutton has the upside for a big day.
All right. Deshaun says 16-man league. Choose 2 wide receivers. Noah Brown, Elijah Moore, Devontae Parker, or Marcus Callaway. Nick's going to say Elijah Moore. I know, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'd go Elijah Moore. They're moving him to the slot. Corey Davis is out. And there were a couple other receivers on the practice report that were dinged up. They're pretty much going to have to run a new offense out there against New England and Bill Belichick, which isn't fun, but I would go with the slot receiver for the Jets, at least the one that I know is going to be on the field the most out of these 4 guys.
All right.
And you guys should pick another one.
Yep. All right. Oh, do I have to pick it? Oh, I do. You're right. I'll go with Elijah Moore and I'll go with Noah Brown because I believe he's still out targeting Gallup. So I'll go with Noah Brown. Thank you for joining, Stanley, and asking the question. We appreciate that. We're always happy to answer your questions. Jesus, Dolchik, Irv Smith, or Gesicki. Kelsey's on bye. I'll go with Dolchik. I know you're going to make that decision in the next 20, 30 minutes or so, but I'll go with Dolchik. They like the rookie tight end, and it seems like the quarterbacks do as well.
Completely agree.
Nick Day says, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Van is going to stretch the field for the rest of the team. Yep. All right. I missed Joe's question. Joe says, need 3 of Najee, Foreman, Pitts, Thielen, Pickens, and Wandale. He said, take Pitts out of it. So Najee, Deontay Foreman, Adam Thielen, George Pickens, and Wandale, pick 3. Foreman, Pickens, and Thielen.
This is against me, so good luck.
Oh, there you go. So my take on that is that we've talked about Foreman throughout the show. Should be the running back 1 over there. I think he had 20 fantasy points last week. Adam Thielen just always has a chance at a touchdown. George Pickens seems to have developed some, chemistry over there. So let's go Pickens, Thielen, and Foreman. All right. We do not have any more questions at the moment. So you guys, we did answer it. All right. So we don't have any questions at the moment. So keep asking those questions, guys. Here we go. We got another one. Okay. Good show, guys. Thank you, Don. We appreciate that. Christian Kirk or Wandale Robinson, half PPR. Oh, man. I haven't liked Christian Kirk over the past month and a half. I haven't liked Christian Kirk throughout the entire season, but I did give him an apology 3 weeks into the season, but I haven't liked him over the past month and a half. His points continue His points continued to decline. The only reason he had over double digits, a week ago was because he had a touchdown. He saved himself late. Without that touchdown, he only scores 4 fantasy points. Now he has a nightmare matchup against the Broncos defense and Patrick Surtain. I think I'd bench Christian Kirk here. I don't think Wan'Dale Robinson's getting you a 20 bomb, but they haven't established who the wide receiver one is or anything over there with the Giants, but I think he does have potential to score a good amount of points. I'll go with Wan'Dale Robinson.
I agree with you there. Over the last 4 games, which the first 3 were phenomenal for Kirk, but over the last 4, he's averaging less than 10 points per game. He only has 1 touchdown in that span, and he only has 1 game where he exceeded 4 catches in that span. So it's just not someone you would want to play. If I showed you those numbers, you would think it was, a wide receiver that just had 1 good week, like a Sammy Watkins or something like that. So when I bring that name into it, it becomes pretty clear that you would throw him to the bench.
All right. And thanks for the compliment, Don. We do the show every Sunday, like we said, 8:30 a.m. on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We love answering your fantasy questions. So hopefully you join us every week. And we have a couple other shows during the week. So hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you guys are watching on YouTube or Facebook, please drop a like. It takes a second. We'd appreciate that. All right. From Adam Lovett. Terry McLaurin or Tyler Lockett? I think you had Tyler Lockett on your All Boom team.
I did. So
I think I had Terry McLaurin on my All Bus team.
Yeah, I'm rolling out Lockett.
Are you worried at all about the injuries that Lockett's dealing with? I know Schefter said last night he's probably going to play, but he's dealing with 2 different injuries now. The hamstring, which I think is fully healed, and now he has an oblique injury. But
I'm not worried.
I follow some fantasy doctor on Twitter that will diagnose each injury. And he said something like the oblique is new, but if he's playing it, it should be something that's minor and should be able to play through it. So play Lockett. I think I'm going to play Lockett in my Dynasty League as well. All right. So no more questions at the moment. Which means, you can keep I want you to keep asking them. Don't stop asking them. My point being, we don't have a question at the moment. Now we do. But keep asking the questions, guys. We'll keep answering them. When we get time in between, give you some injury reports and stuff like that. So, from Donald Trump's hair, that's some hair, all right. Half PPR. Patrick Mahomes and Mike Williams are out. So he's rocking with Ellinger, Aaron Jones, Mixon, Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, Pitts, the Gus Bus at flex, and the Jets D. How screwed am I? Let's see who he's facing. He's going up against Josh Allen, Diggs, Kamara, Taysom, McLaurin, Najee, Julio, and Buffalo D. Listen.
Anything can happen.
What's your record? Because you're going to have another.
This one.
Your number on the right side of your record is going to change. Listen, there's nothing to do in this situation. When you face Josh Allen and Kamara and Diggs, you just need to have. What happened?
And the Bills off the bye.
Yeah, so you just need to have your stars, and unfortunately, you don't. There's nothing you did as a fantasy manager. You need to hope for a miracle, kinda. That's all I could say. Like, good luck, but unfortunately, I wouldn't expect to win this week. I wish I could give you some advice, but that's tough. From Nick Day, I'm in a 12-man league with Herbert on bye, Andy Dalton, Malik Mariota, or PJ on the waiver. Who do you think is the best start? Andy Dalton. He's on my all boom team this week. He had over 30 fantasy points last week against those Cardinals defense with 2 pick-6s. That's 4 points that Andy Dalton lost. So I'm going to go with Andy Dalton this week. He loves checking down to Kamara. He uses the tight ends. He uses Olave. I'm going with Andy Dalton.
I'm going to trust you here and roll with Dalton.
I also don't want to start Mariota anywhere because he's just unpredictable.
It's fair.
Malik's intriguing, but he's not, and we haven't seen him yet. So, notorious fan again, Josh Reynolds, Paris Campbell, or Mac Hollins. Good question because I don't know what to tell you. Is DJ Chark playing? Do you have the injury report on that?
I'll take a look.
I don't want to start Paris Campbell because he's the wide receiver 2 or 3 on his team, but I don't know who Ellinger is going to target. So how do I tell? That's tougher for me. I like Reynolds because he has some chemistry with Jared Goff, but if he's going to be the wide receiver 3 on his team, I don't know what you're really hoping for there. It's basically the choice of 3 wide receiver 3s.
I don't see him on the injury report, so I don't know if DJ Moore is good to go. I think
DJ Chark.
DJ Chark. I think he's good to go.
I think I'll go with Reynolds because the Lions, those first few weeks against bad defenses, were the number 1 scoring offense in the league. It's a crapshoot. I think whoever scores a touchdown is getting you the most points here, but I'll go with Reynolds.
I agree with you. I think I would go with Paris Campbell, though. I do think that Ellinger is just going to play the same exact role as Matt Ryan, and if that's the case, Paris Campbell has had a higher snap share than Matt Collins had on the field, and then Josh Reynolds would be the debatable one, but I don't know if he really is the 5th or 6th option on that team, right? Like, even if he's out on the field, he's never going to be the first read. So I would go with Campbell, go with the veteran receiver that maybe the rookie will have to lean on.
All right. Me and Ben's playlist. Thanks for joining every single week. We appreciate you. Taysom Hill or Tyler Algier, full PPR flex.
That's
you
a
love
fun
Taysom
one.
Hill. You love Taysom Hill.
I like playing him at tight end.
I'm going to go with Algier. Panthers are giving up the 8th most fantasy points to running backs. The Falcons like to run the ball, and they seem to trust the rookie now. I think Algier could be one of those guys, sneaky late season guys that could help win your fantasy team win some games.
Over the last 4 weeks, Algier's workload has gone up 10, 13, 15, and 16 rushing attempts. My only gripe is he has only 2 targets on the entire season, so you're not going to get the pass catching upside from your running back that you need. But with him getting 16 touches, that's more than Taysom Hill is going to be guaranteed any week. So if he's getting that workload, he's going to be a fine play.
All right. NBA Rowan, AJ Brown, Tyler Lockett, or Jerry Jeudy. AJ Brown every week,
Yep.
lock and load.
Yep.
Chark is on IR according to Joe. So Josh Reynolds is actually a good play. Then I'll play
Okay.
Josh Reynolds. All right. From Nick Day, sad to see James Robinson leave my Jaguars. Hope he does great things in New York.
Appreciate it. I hope he does great things.
I'm happy that he left the Jaguars. Travis Etienne season. Let's do it. All right, Nick. Do you have the injury report up there? You want to read off maybe some injuries that might affect some teams? I know we don't have it in the notes, but while we don't have questions, maybe that's what we could do. We are going to be live for another 15, 20 minutes. I know the game starts at 9:30, but if you guys keep asking questions, we'll keep talking. We'll keep answering. We don't want to leave you guys hanging.
Let's see. So over in I'm going game by game to see what major injuries there are in the first 3 games that are listed here. That doesn't seem to be any. For the Jets Patriots game, the only major injury is Corey Davis. I think it's major because you're going to see Elijah Moore out there a lot more and consuming that slot role. You'll probably see Denzel Mims and Braxton Berrios out there as well. None of them are going to be too fantasy relevant outside of deeper leagues, but I do think Elijah Moore is a solid play this week in that matchup. Mac Hollins is still dealing with the heel injury. He is questionable for the game. Darren Waller with his hamstring also questionable for the game. Michael Thomas already ruled out. Marshawn Lattimore ruled out for this matchup, so this could be a good week if you are the Devontae Adams owner. You don't have to worry about that shadow.
Zeke is also out as well.
Yep, Zeke officially ruled out. In the Panthers at the Falcons, Chuba Hubbard ankle injury. He is officially ruled out, so Deontay Foreman season is alive and well. In the Cardinals game, we do have James Conner already ruled out, and Darrell Williams is questionable. I think a question that we're going to be asked a lot is Deontay Foreman versus Eno Benjamin. It's a question I have in 2 leagues, so I think I'm going to start 1 in one and 1 in the other, just to cover both sides.
All right. We got some questions here. Me and Ben's playlist. Eno or Devin Singletary, half PPR running back 2, or either of them over Wandale at flex. I kind of like Devin Singletary this week. I think I'd start Singletary.
Yeah, I think I'd roll with Singletary as well.
All right. Nick, you could answer this one.
Do the Jets upset the Pats? So I'm going to go with no, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to go with no. Because I'm a season ticket holder. There was one game I didn't go to this season. The Jets this season are 5-0 in games I have not been to, and they are 0-2 in games that I have been to. I'm going to the game today, so the Jets are not going to win, and then I'm going to sell the rest of my season tickets because I'd rather watch from my couch and watch my Jets win than have my conspiracy that I'm the reason we're losing.
That is a good fan right there.
Yep.
All right.
For the team.
I don't think the Jets win. I'm higher on the Jets than I am a few weeks ago, but Belichick off getting embarrassed. The Jets haven't beaten the Patriots in regulation in like 10 years in the regular season.
It's not.
I just can't. But... No, I saw the stat on Twitter. I think it's 10. I think it's since 2010. Go look at it. Go look at it. Google it.
I was at a Jets game where the Jets won against the Patriots in 20. I want to say 16 or 17. So it's not 10. I mean, it might be 5 or 6, but still.
Okay. From John, DK Metcalf, Antonio Gibson, and Michael Carter. Pick 2.5 PPR.
I'd go Carter and Metcalf.
Okay. I'm actually looking up the Jets versus Patriots versus.
Me too. I'm pulling it up.
Trying to find. Okay, I'll let you pull it up then. I can't find it. If Metcalf's playing, I feel like you have to play him, and I'll play Antonio Gibson because I think he's the better running back there, even if they don't want to use him like it. From Stanley, any Bears players worth playing? Montgomery. Aside from that, I think that's it.
2015. That's the last Jets win.
So
not 10 years, but close to it.
Who played? Where were they? Were they in New England or were they at MetLife?
They would have been at MetLife because I was at the game.
Okay.
It was in MetLife, yeah.
Okay. From Don again. Full PPR. Brandon Cooks or Jacoby Myers. Thanks again. Man, I don't like either of these matchups. And it looks like Cooks is going to get traded pretty soon. But Cooks is the better matchup against the Titans. Jacoby Myers has a really bad matchup. I'd play the upside of Cooks, but I don't love Cooks at all. He needs to get traded. He needs to get out of there.
Yeah, they're already talking about trading him. I do think he is going to be on the move. But I would go with him.
What if they win? Are you talking about the Bears or I think you talk about the Jets. I mean, if they win, that's great for the Jets. And that's the biggest Jet win in how many years if they beat the Pats.
I don't know. Walking into Lambeau was pretty big.
That one's pretty big too, but I don't know. But this is your rival. I think this one might be a little bit bigger.
We beat the Super Bowl champion Bengals last year. That was pretty impressive too.
The Super Bowl champion Bengals.
No, the AFC champion Bengals.
I think this is their biggest win in a couple of years if they beat the Patriots.
Probably.
This feels bigger. This feels bigger.
It puts us to 6-2.
Everybody doubted them going into Lambeau, but I feel like some people are believing in the Jets today.
Not everybody doubted them going into Lambeau. I told you
Nick
we
did
were
not.
walking into
Nick,
Lambeau,
Nick,
and I told you not
Nick
to
did,
pick those goddamn stanking Packers again.
Nick did. Which tight end do we like rest of season? Pitts or Everett? I traded Pitts for Everett, so hopefully Pitts. I mean, I traded Everett for Pitts, so hopefully Pitts.
I think it'll be Everett.
I think so too, unfortunately. From NBA Rowan, Dalton Schultz or Taysom Hill? Play Taysom Hill. He has the touchdown upside.
I'd go with Dalton Schultz. I would go with. I think he's guaranteed.
You're usually the Taysom Hill guy.
Targets.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, you got a season ticket holder here, Nick.
Good, great. Let's go shop. The world is right. I'll be over at the game.
From Stanley,
and then you won't see me at any other game when we lose. But
from Stanley, do I play you need to see them face you should have gone to the Miami game. You go when they face hard opponents. You need to see them face a cupcake.
I mean, I watched 2 Flacco games, so yeah, I guess so. But we'll see. We'll see tonight.
From Stanley,
and then I'm going next week against the Bills, and then I'll sell the rest of them.
Do I play the Eagles defense today? Who are the Eagles facing? I don't remember.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, it's a good play.
Absolutely. That's
all right. From Yasir, start Pitts or Tunyon. Man, play Pitts. The Panthers defense isn't good.
Yeah, I'd go with Pitts, but I wouldn't be happy about it.
John Wells, pick 2. Zay Jones, Jacoby Myers, Josh Reynolds. Play Josh Reynolds. I actually like that play now this week with DJ Chark out. And play Zay Jones.
You do not test Sauce Gardner. Jacoby Myers is going to have to look across the field, and he is going to be miserable. Go with Zay Jones and Josh Reynolds.
You're welcome, Stanley. We appreciate all the questions. Thanks for joining. Again, the show's every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. That's the live show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And then the recorded shows are during the week as well. From Nick Day, I like this question. Is Drake London droppable? I'm in a keeper league. In all non-keeper leagues, he's droppable. Keeper league, if they go out there and get a quarterback in the offseason, that's a guy you keep. So,
or if they fire their coach, which I don't think happen.
Well, the other thing is, if you have Kenneth Walker, you could drop Drake London or Breece Hall if you could keep them, or Olave. But if you don't have any of those 3 guys, Drake London is probably your best
send your team, and there's got to be a player that you need to get to drop him. Like, you don't drop him.
If you need to drop somebody, I wouldn't drop him yet. Am I crazy to start Hurst over Pitts? Pitts is killing me. Full PPR from Don. No, you're not crazy because Hurst is going to get more work with Jamar Chase out. I actually like that play. I'm stuck playing Kyle Pitts at the moment. Or I could slot Evan Ingram in. Should I slot Evan Ingram in?
I would put Hurst knowing that Chase isn't there.
Okay. All right, Nick, any other big injury reports that you can talk to us about? I got to decide in the next 5 minutes if I want to put Evan Ingram in for Pitts. I'm going to play Pitts. Carolina defense stinks. I'm playing Pitts.
Carolina's defense is underrated, but okay.
They stink. What other
I'm scrolling, let me see.
8-player team, no defense. 8-player team, no defense, 10-team league PPR. Interesting. Never shave during a win streak. The Jets jinx is back. I like that. That's a good take.
I shaved, so I guess that's the point.
Whoops. That's a good take. All right. From Big Money. 8-man PPR need a tight end. I have Pitts and Schultz, but he has Hurts, Gesicki, Irv Smith, Ingram, Knox, and so on. Well, do you mean the waiver? I think he means the waiver, right? I think I play Schultz, Hurts, and then Pitts. Those are how I would rank the three. Actually, you know what? Hurst. If you could play Hurst, I think I'll play Hurst this week. With Chase out, more targets, I think goes away. I don't love Ingram. I'm not playing him this week.
Okay.
I'm playing Pitts over Ingram this week.
I'd go with Schultz over anyone on this list.
All right. Thanks for the question. DJ Ferris picked 3 to start. Hunter Renfrow, Gabe Davis, DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, Terrence Marshall. Definitely Gabriel Davis. Definitely DK Metcalf, but make sure you have a backup in mind just in case DK doesn't play. Go pick up Marquise Goodwin off of waivers, and if DK doesn't play Marquise Goodwin. As for your other two, or third one, I'll go Renfrow.
Yeah, I would go with those 3 as well.
Okay. Big money. 8-man PPR need 2 wide receivers. I have Metcalf and Lockett. Sutton just picked up DJ Moore and Boyd. Oof. That's tough.
That's a good one.
I think if DK's playing, you have to play DK over Lockett. And then if you ask me to play one more, this is really tough. They're all really good options. I don't love Sutton's matchup, and I don't love the Denver offense. I'm actually taking Sutton out of it. I like Boyd's offense more, but I like DJ Moore's opportunity more. So I think I'm going to play DJ Moore and Metcalf, but I really do like Tyler Boyd as well.
I'd go Sutton and Boyd off these 2.
All right. Big money. Go with whoever you're most comfortable with, honestly, because these are all really good options, and we could be totally wrong, honestly. From Nick Day, these are his starters for the question of is Drake London droppable? Dalton, AJ Brown, Lamb, CMC, Josh Jacobs. Jesus, your team is stacked. Schultz, Deontay Johnson, benches Herbert, Kyle Edwards-Helaire, London, Dobbs, Rashad White, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. First, you're dropping Donovan Peoples-Jones, then you're dropping Dobbs, then you're dropping Rashad White. I would not drop Drake London.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think he would be the lowest on your totem pole.
From Stanley, will Christian McCaffrey be good today? I don't know. I mean, the Rams defense is really tough.
The Rams defense is going to get obliterated by Christian McCaffrey. CMC is going to run the Debo role. You predicted 30 points for Debo on our last podcast. Like most of that's going to CMC. CMC is going to be the end round guy. I would not be surprised if they run Jeff Wilson in the backfield and put Elijah Moore in the slot. Right? Like,
that's a good.
Not Elijah Moore.
Elijah Mitchell.
Not Elijah Mitchell. Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but you know the take. CMC's going off.
Thank you, Big Money, for liking and subscribing. We really do appreciate that. We do the show, the live show every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Hopefully we see you every week. And then we have shows throughout the week that are recorded on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Hope you give those a listen as well. The Jags are coming on the field in Europe. We'll keep answering questions until you guys stop asking them, honestly, and then we'll go and watch the Jags game. I know Nick's going to the Jets game today. DJ Ferris, in trade terms, who would you trade Cordell Patterson for? I need another wide receiver. I don't know what Cordell Patterson's value is. Maybe you could trade him for like DJ Moore. I think you got to trade him for a receiver that doesn't have a lot of value right now. So maybe like DJ Moore, maybe one of the Broncos wide receivers. I don't know what Patterson's role is when he returns. He could assume that role that he had last year, but he's 31, coming off an injury, and they like Algier. So that's a tricky one. What do you think?
There's 3 players that you do not bet against. Tom Brady, Cordell Patterson, and me, any Bengals player. So for that reason, you got to value him higher than other people think. If you're a good negotiator, you're going to be able to easily sell the numbers of Cordell Patterson over the last 2 seasons. If you want a mid-level guy that you can play over the next few weeks, I think Tyler Boyd would be your perfect target. If you're looking for a rest of season play, I think you would have to negotiate for like Deontay Johnson and get that guaranteed workload. And Deontay hasn't been good enough where people are going to, feel comfortable keeping him or not want to trade him.
All right. Guys, if you have any questions for the Broncos and the Jags, ask them right now. We only have 5 minutes until the game starts. We'll keep talking if you're asking questions after when the game starts. But if you want your questions answered for Broncos, Jags, we will answer them immediately, and then we'll go back to other questions. Big Money streaming Dulcich, probably a good play. You're very welcome, Stanley. Thank you for joining the show and asking all the questions. From Joe, my brother, I cut Elijah Mitchell to stash Joshua Palmer. Good move. I think so, because I don't see Elijah Mitchell's role in that offense being pretty big, and Palmer should be a solid flex play for the next month.
I agree. I think Elijah Mitchell is the biggest, he's going to be one of the best handcuff running backs, but over 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however long it is without Mike Williams, you're going to be able to lock in Josh Palmer for pretty much every single one of those matchups.
Thank you for that, DJ. Enjoy the games today. Best of luck in your matchups. Hopefully you join us every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And the shows are throughout the week. So hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Drop a like on Facebook. We'd appreciate that. All right, I'm looking for questions right now that have Broncos and Jags. So from Luca Magic, I think we've seen you a couple times. Thanks for joining again. Do I make any changes rest of the year? Half PPR 12-man. Derek Carr, Kenneth Walker, ETN, Evans, AJ Brown. Okay, so he's not asking about this week. I'm going to come back to your question because I just want to make sure we have everything answered that we need to before this game starts. Is there any Broncos players worth playing? Cortland Sutton, I think, is worth playing. Nick, I'll let you take this one because you're the Sutton guy. Aside from Sutton, I'm a little bit nervous to play the rest of them, but my certain one is Sutton.
Sutton, Judy, Dulcich, those are the three that I think are playable. If you're in a super flex, I think Russell Wilson is still viable enough, even though he hasn't been great. And then, running back position's thin, but there's only 2 teams on bye this week, so I think you could get away with not playing those guys.
They need that bye badly.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to go back to the other
There's
questions.
rumors that if they lose today, Hackett's going to get fired, and then they have the bye to assess the coach over 2 weeks.
He should be fired no matter what. All right, from Don, another crazy one. Gibson over Aaron Jones. Jones going up against the Bills could spell trouble. New to the show, now a regular. Thanks, Don. We appreciate that. Well, since you're new to the show, on our Friday show, we do our all boom and all bust teams, and I had Aaron Jones on my all bust team for this week. Really bad matchup. I don't think this is a crazy one. Jones hasn't been efficient in half his games this season. Now, he has a higher touchdown potential. He does. He has a better offense. He does. But nothing's shown me with my eyes that the Packers are going to be able to compete in this game from an offensive standpoint. So I think I'll take Gibson in a game that can be more competitive. And he looks like the better running back to me. I don't care what Brian Robinson is doing. Gibson looks like the better running back.
I agree with that. Gibson does look like the better running back. But for me personally, I'm not going to take out, the more talented player, the guaranteed RB1 on his team. I'm not going to take out Aaron Jones for Antonio Gibson at this point. If Brian Robinson weren't there, it's a different debate. But for right now, I can't see myself just like you don't want to trust Aaron Jones. There would be no reason to trust Antonio Gibson, right? Like you're betting on touchdown or bust for him. I'd rather play Aaron Jones, who I think will get 10 to 15 carries. He'll get 5 targets. And then if he hits the end zone, he had a good enough week for you.
Okay. All right, Chris, I see your questions. I see all the questions, guys. I'm going to answer them now. From Luca Magic, do I make any changes rest of the year? Half PPR. Derek Carr, Kenneth Walker, ETN. Running backs look really solid rest of the year. Evans, AJ Brown, Goddard. Those are pretty solid too. Chubb, I think it's Nick Chubb.
Yep.
Brandon Cooks, Sutton, Allen Robinson, Bateman, Rashad White, and Kirk Cousins. If you could upgrade at quarterback, maybe. If you could trade one of those quarterbacks and maybe one of those flex guys, I think that could be an upgrade. If you could maybe Sutton and Derek Carr for like Jalen Hurts, if you could do that.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that would be the biggest place you could upgrade.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, I would say that
you could get your tight end quarterback stack if you could go Linktr.
Yeah, if you could upgrade it tight end or quarterback, I would do that.
And you might be able to have a shot at Herbert or Mahomes because they're both on bye this week. You could probably leverage one of your quarterbacks for that.
Yeah, but keep asking the Broncos and Jags questions. Do I like Sutton over 54 receiving yards and ETN over 69 rushing yards? Don't like ETN. I like Sutton's though.
I agree.
All right. From Chris, I don't know how to say your last name, Baroque, maybe. I'm sorry for butchering that. Got offered Juju for James Robinson. What should I do? Because Chiefs just got Tony and have Tony as well. Juju's looked good over the last 2 weeks. I think I'd rather have Juju rest of season than James Robinson, who I think is splitting with Michael Carter, who's probably the better running back over there.
I agree with that, but I wouldn't hate going for James Robinson.
All right. Another question from Chris. I have Daniel Jones and my running backs are Brian Robinson and Melvin Gordon. Should I trade Jalen Hurts for a running back? Record 3-4. I think you do need a running back here as much as I would hate just rolling out Daniel Jones. I would look at your waiver wire and make sure you have a backup quarterback that you can get up. And I would also rather trade a receiver. If your receivers are loaded, trade a receiver for a running back because that's a big downgrade from quarterback. I would rather trade a receiver or a tight end and just stream the tight end. I would need to see a roster. If you want to either tell us your roster or tweet us it at PrimeTimeFFPod, we can give you a better answer. But if this is the only option, yes, but I don't love it.
I agree with you here. I think you do need to upgrade at running back for sure. There's no way you're going to be able to win the title with these two in the backfield. You're probably going to be stressing out making playoffs for the rest of the year if you don't get one of those superstars. There's a lot of those guys at the top that you can go and trade for now with lower value. So just feel free to shoot shots on guys like Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, even Jonathan Taylor at this point. But don't give up don't give up Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to give you 25 points per game.
Yeah.
Has the easiest rest of season schedule. Like, it's not for me, I would not debate moving Jalen Hurts. He's going to score more points than any running back you go and trade for.
Yeah. The London game is about to start, guys, so we're going to keep answering questions. Probably got a couple more, and then once these last questions end, we're going to wrap up. With that said, for those of you leaving, go watch the London game. Thank you guys for watching and listening. We do this live show every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And then we have our regular shows during the week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. All audio streaming platforms, whether it's Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please hit a subscribe, give us a like and a review. If you'd rather watch the show like you did today, YouTube channel, Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Drop a like on any video that you do watch. Like this video and subscribe, please. We'd appreciate that. From Mark De Silva, need 2 wide receivers, full PPR. Higgins, Waddle, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Pittman. Awesome matchups. I think I'm playing Higgins and Amon-Ra.
I'd go Higgins and Waddle. I have to take Waddle against that Lions secondary.
Okay. Need 2 running backs, full PPR. Dalvin Cook, Chubb, or Pierce.
Good for you.
I don't think you could. I don't think you could bench Chubb, and I don't think you could bench Pierce. So I think I'd bench Dalvin. Man, can you flex one? This is like, I wish I had this. Like, the Bengals defense is the toughest matchup, but Chubb is just like guaranteed workload, and Dalvin's the one that hasn't looked the best because they're not feeding him as much. So I'll go at Chubb and Pierce. I know that they're going to get a guaranteed workload.
Wow, that's an interesting one.
Doesn't matter where they drafted them at this point. It's guaranteed workload, and Dalvin Cook's not getting it.
I mean, who's your flex? That's going to be my question, right? Like, who are you flexing that you have to bench?
Your team is pretty stacked, man. Like, I don't know if you could flex one of them. That'd be great if you could. All right. Tell him to keep Hurts. Will go off against the Steelers. Yeah, he will. He's a quarterback, Hurts, running back, Robinson, Melvin Gordon. Wide receivers are Debo, Mike Williams, Lockett, Wanda Robinson, McLaurin. Tight ends, Andrews, Ertz, and Dolchik. There you go. Trade Ertz. Ertz has been a top 5 tight end on the season. Trade Ertz or Andrews to get a running back. You're fine on tight end. If you don't want to trade one of those tight ends, I think you should. But trade the tight end or trade Mike Williams. A team who's like 6-1 will take Mike Williams.
I think you could also try and move Terry McLaurin here.
Yeah, that's a good one
I think
too.
there's value there too, and you probably have better receiver plays. I know Debo's hurt, Mike Williams is out for a little while, but Tyler Lockett, Wan'Dale Robinson, like after this week, you should be able to trade and get Debo back in your lineup.
Yeah. Stanley says, "What do I do with Hunt?" I think you hold him because if he goes to the Rams, that's a big upgrade. I think
the trade deadline's Tuesday in the NFL.
I think Kareem Hunt's a good trade for candidate in your fantasy leagues right now. I would take the gamble on him because his value is probably low. I would take a gamble on him.
I think you have to hold him for now.
Yeah.
Like the trade deadline's on Tuesday. If he's not gone on Tuesday, right? Like you can drop him for your waiver wire. Right, like there's a player that we like, and you could go watch the episode that day for our waiver wire.
Yeah,
like there's there might be a better guy out there, but I wouldn't drop Hunt just to drop him. Yeah. There might be people that are willing to overpay a little bit and bank on that trade happening. Like maybe you sell him high at that, but if not, just hold him. There's no point, and he's one of the best handcuff running backs in football, so it's not worth just cutting him.
From Mark De Silva again. Okay, now here we go. He needs 2 to flex now. Dalvin Cook, Michael Pittman, St. Brown, and Waddle. So who are you starting at receiver at this point? I'm trying to figure out now because you said you need 2 wide receivers. You're starting Higgins and who are you starting, Mark? Because I thought you were starting 2 of those receivers already. What's your starting lineup? Can you let us know what your starting lineup is, Mark? Because if I'm doing your starting lineup, right? He may have another solid receiver is what I'm thinking. But
roster's loaded.
Yeah, Mark, can you let us know what your roster is, and then we'll get out of here. You're very welcome, Stanley. But if you're asking this question, I mean, I would love to start all of them. Mark, let's know what your starting rosters. But if I can only play 2 of these guys, Dalvin Cook and actually no, I want to get Amon-Ra Waddle in there. I think I'd bench.
I'd take Pittman out first. That'll make it a little easier.
Yeah, take Pittman out, and then I think I'd go with Amon-Ra Waddle. So you'd be starting Higgins, Amon-Ra, Waddle, Dameon Pierce, and Chubb.
What's crazy is if you showed me this team, right? Like if you just told me you have Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Dameon Pierce, and then you have Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra, and Jalen Waddle, I'd be like, wow, you hit a home run in your draft. But meaning these are flex means you have 2 better receivers than the guys that you just threw out there. So
yeah, that's what
I
I'm
want to
trying to
know who the
figure
hell
out.
those
Yeah.
guys are.
So let us know who's on your team, and then we'll get out of here. Stanley, thank you for that. We appreciate it. Mark, thank you for that. Again, we do the show every single Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Facebook and YouTube is Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Twitter is PrimeTimeFFPod. And then we have shows throughout the week, 4 shows a week on all audio streaming platforms plus YouTube. So, if you guys want to tune into those, we'd appreciate that. But you make our mornings great, letting us wake up and answer fantasy questions for an hour. So, Mark, just waiting to see if you're going to drop your roster in there. If you're still here, we'll give it a minute or two. But if you're asking, with the guys you listed, you're playing your quarterback. For me, it's your quarterback, Higgins, Amon-Ra, and then for your running backs, you're going Chubb and Dameon Pierce, and then for one flex, I'm getting Waddle in there, and I'll bench Pittman and Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. Okay. Wide receivers are Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Higgins, Pittman, Waddle. Running backs are Dalvin Cook, Pierce, and Chubb. You guys pick different wide receivers in first question.
Oh, okay. I see. So you're just saying this is your team. You pretty much have to bench one, and then that would be Michael Pittman.
Yeah. Bench. If you could only bench one, bench Michael Pittman. Well, he has to bench 2, right? He has to play 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex.
No, 2 flex.
Is it 2 flex?
Yeah. You
Okay.
said flex need 2, so you're just benching.
All right.
Pittman.
All right. I'm sorry, Mark. Didn't mean to confuse you. We got a little confused. So I'm going to go. Your 2 wide receivers for me are going to be Higgins and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Your 2 running backs are going to be Dameon Pierce and Nick Chubb. And then I could pick 2 flexes out of Pittman, Waddle, and Cook. I'm going to go with Cook and Waddle. So the only guy you're benching is Michael Pittman for me. I think I understood that, Mark. I hope we helped you with
got that right.
Yeah, Mark. If we didn't get that right, we apologize. But if you could only bench one, Michael Pittman, I think we got that right. All right. You know who called well? Recurring listener. Thank you for joining. You got us right before we ended. Deontay Foreman a better play than Najee, Monty, or Zeke? Yes. Yeah, I think so. All right, one more from Joe. Flex Higgins and Chubb because they play Monday night. Good call, Joe. Good job.
Yes, good call.
All right. Mark, if we did not answer your question correctly, it looks like we did. Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
I think we got it.
Yeah. All right. I'm flexing Najee, Mike Williams. Mike Williams and Debo are outside. Renfro or Terry or look elsewhere. I think I'd play Terry over Najee. I don't love Terry's matchup, but I like Najee's net less.
I agree. I hate to agree, but
yeah. Yep. All right.
That sucks.
All right. We're going to get out of here. Nick's going to go to the Jets game. I'm going to go watch Jags, Broncos, and hopefully it don't melt like an ice cream cone today in my 80-degree apartment.
Nick, you should go do some high knees in honor of Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I should. Let's ride. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining. The show is every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Love answering your questions. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our podcasting platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. If you look at the Linktree in any of our social media, all the links are right there. We'd appreciate you guys joining and, taking part in all that fun stuff with us. You hear from us 4 times throughout the week with our shows. And aside from that, thanks again. I think you have one. Nick, you could answer this one. You could answer this one quick one.
What's up with Garrett Wilson? Well, I don't think he's fantasy relevant. That's all. I think he's a good player. He's just not fantasy relevant.
And last one to Stanley. Play Mostert over Henderson for sure. Mostert has a good matchup.
Completely agree.
All right. Thank you guys. Enjoy week 8 today. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.